Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Ringerz Wrestling Podcast. This is already episode 3. And on today's episode, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to recap AEW's tenure in Daly's place, the 15-month run, and with Road Rager coming up at the time of recording in 2 days. So let's not waste any time and let's jump right into the recap. COVID was a pretty trying time for wrestling. Um, some companies went on a brief hiatus, like the NWA, which they're now back and better than ever. AEW and WWE, they stayed going weekly with no fans. AEW, their fanless shows I thought were pretty phenomenal. And I have a list of all the moments that took place during the 15-month run at Daly's Place. The only things I won't cover are wrestlers that returned from injury, but I will go over debuts. And I have a list on Twitter from the Vinnie Mac 2005 account. The first moment listed here is the debut of Matt Hardy. When he debuted, he was still in the Broken Woken gimmick, but he killed that gimmick because he felt like he was losing himself. So he, of course, now has the Hardy front office. Brody Lee, may he rest in peace, debuted as the Exalted One. Sadly, he did not get to compete in front of a sold out AEW crowd. He challenged John Moxley for the world title, failed to capture it, but would go on to win the TNT title from Cody Rhodes in one of the best squashes of all time. Brody was the right person to dethrone Cody. And then there was the Brody Lee tribute show. After he passed on December 26th, with his last match being the dog collar match with Cody Rhodes once he returned from selling the Impact of the squash match. And Cody would win the TNT title back. FTR shocked the world and debuted in AEW and would go on to dethrone Kenny and Hangman Adam Page. At the time, they were the longest reigning tag team champions at 228 days. I could be wrong on that, but that's about ballpark. And the Young Bucks would defeat FTR at Full Gear to win the tag team titles, and they currently have the longest reign at 237 plus days at the time of recording. Anna Jay would debut and join Dark Order, and shortly after Anna came Taynara Conchi, who was released from NXT. Conchi has had an incredible run so far. She had a pretty great match with Hikaru Shida, and she would fail to win the women's title. Pinnacle would form, and they are currently in my opinion, one of the greatest faction wars of all time. I am currently loving this feud. I know there's controversy that there's too many factions in AEW. I don't think that's a bad thing, especially with the trios title rumored to be coming out soon. Pinnacle, of course, consists of MJF, Wardlow, FTR, Shawn Spears, and they're managed by Tully Blanchard. At Winter is Coming, Sting would make a complete surprise debut in AEW, and he is full time, which is very nice, especially since he's 63. He's partnered up with Darby Allin. I love this pairing. They work very well. Great team, great chemistry there. When the time is right, I would like to hopefully see them become tag team champions. I don't know of many people that would hate that. 2 stadium stampede matches would occur. I believe both were at Double or Nothing. I could be wrong, but I'm 99% sure I'm correct. The first one was the the Inner Circle versus the Broken Elite. I personally didn't watch it. I wish I did. I heard it was pretty amazing. The second one just recently happened. It was Inner Circle versus Pinnacle. Again, I love this feud. And then perhaps one of the most the best disappointing match of all time, the exploding barbed wire death match. Kenny would defeat Moxley. Um, the match was good, but the ending, when the explosion was supposed to happen, was very disappointing. That's why I call it the best disappointing match of all time. Paul White, aka Big Show, would debut, not in ring, but as an on-screen personality, an AEW Dark Elevation commentator, and he's doing amazing. I cannot wait to see him compete again. I've always loved Big Show. Britt Baker DMD ended the year-long reign of Hikaru Shida in an amazing match. The second best women's match AEW has ever had. The first one being Baker versus Rosa Lights Out. And in a future episode, I'll be doing a state of AEW, hopefully with some guests, where we'll go in depth about the women's division, the tag team scene, Kenny's reign, all things that could be fixed. And that's about it. Uh, Also, the surprise signing of Mark Henry. I thought that would be worth noting. And that wraps up the 15-month tenure at Daly's place. Now we're moving on to AEW AEW Road Rager. Their first show on the road in 15 months. And I believe this is their third show with fans back. So let's jump right into the card. I don't know the order in which each match will take place, so I'll say them as I see them. The standoff between Jericho and MJF happens, which I'm assuming will be the culmination of Jericho versus MJF. This is their first meeting one-on-one. MJF last week had an amazing match with Guevara. That was TV match of the year. So I hope this standoff leads to MJF versus Jericho in Chicago at All Out. Next up is the Inner Circle versus Pinnacle in a 6-man tag team match. Jake Hager with Proud and Powerful versus Wardlow with FTR. Great way to build up both individual feuds within the faction feud. I love it. It should be a pretty good match. All 6 men have amazing chemistry in the ring, so this match should be phenomenal. I feel like Pinnacle is gonna go on a roll, so Jericho beating MJF won't be seen coming. It will be a complete shock, because MJF has only one singles loss, and that was to Jon Moxley. Next is Chris Statlander with Orange Cassidy versus Bunny and the Blade. This feud hasn't really interested me too much. I don't really have much to say about it, except that I hope Orange and Chris can pick up the win. Next up, Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall in a South Beach strap match. Surely Cody Rhodes will win, and I will be fantasy booking Cody after my predictions for Road Rager. Cody, he needs wins. That's pretty controversial because it's Cody, and for some reason, not many people are high on him now. I don't get it. Cody, to me, has always been somebody that should be in the main event. And again, I'll talk about Cody again in a few minutes. But yeah, Cody Rhodes will win. I like this feud. It's very personal. And it's a great feud that's not for a title. And I feel like that, excuse me, that is something most promotions, sorry, can't really do well, is book feuds that aren't for a title. So I'm very interested in this match. Speaking of titles, we have the Young Bucks defending the tag team gold against Penta and Eddie Kingston. Surely Penta and Eddie will win. The Young Bucks have been great as heels and as champs, unlike any, which I'll talk about more in the upcoming State of AEW episode. Yeah, Young Bucks need to drop the gold because they're EVPs. So them having the gold is kind of like Triple H winning the world title again. It's a corporate thing. Not many people are fond of corporate heads holding the gold, which I get. And their reign has been amazing. But I want to see some gold on Penta and Eddie. They deserve this. Penta has been on a roll since joining AEW. Eddie, I've been a massive supporter of his since the first season of NWA Power. So I'm rooting for Eddie. Hopefully they can beat the Bucks. The crowd would go crazy if the first show on the road had a title change. I'm just saying. And something that's been highly anticipated, Andrade makes his in-ring debut versus Matt Sydal. Andrade has over, I believe, 30 years of experience. He began wrestling at 13. So, no, he should be probably mid 20 years. And Idell has 20 years exactly. So the ring awareness, the storytelling, the chemistry chemistry in this, the moves, the selling, crowd interaction is going to be off the charts. And the fact that we're getting this match on free TV is huge. And this match alone is going to put asses in seats. And those are my Road Rager predictions. Now it's time to fantasy book. This is a weekly segment. This is the only segment on the show that stays weekly. The topics, they'll switch up every now and then, but this segment is the main event each and every week. This week's main event is booking Cody Rhodes to challenge for the world title again. Cody challenged Jericho, and he said that if he loses this match with Jericho for the world title, he will never challenge for the world title again. And I think now the time is right to take back that statement, and I think this is how. Cody is also an EVP, so he has power. Kenny is an EVP. He has power. Cody, he could try and like trick Kenny into agreeing to terms on a weekly TV match. That if Cody won the match, he could challenge Kenny for that title, because it would be two EVPs agreeing on one stipulation. Cody has been on a tear since the company began. Why wouldn't you want Cody Rhodes to be your world champion? Cody, he can very easily just say that he spoke with Tony Khan and he's agreed to let Cody challenge for it. But wouldn't it mean more if Kenny himself said it and set up a pretty lengthy feud between Kenny and Cody, and that is a dream match in itself. The match writes itself. I believe the match happened in Japan for the United States title, but my New Japan knowledge isn't as great. So I would love to see the match, because I know people that want Cody to become AEW AEW champ. So why not do it? Now is the best time to put the title on Cody. So then, with that being said, that is going to cut it for this week's episode of Ringerz Wrestling Podcast. Next week, we should be back to reviewing Power, and I'll definitely be reviewing Road Rager, so you don't want to miss that. So with that being said, thank you and good night.